So, Greg.
Yes.
We're going to talk about yesterday, when you organised a nice little... Oh, probably not you, it's probably Neil and Sarah, to be honest, but you took the credit of organising a little tour around the area that is North Wales in a tour bus. I'll hand it over to you now.
Well, it was an interesting morning.
It was a van. First it was a van.
Well, yeah, I mean,
van.
the thing is, though, I couldn't sort of say... I was trying to big it up to you. I couldn't go, yeah, we're going to go on a tour bus, but actually it's just a bigger transit van. But...
It was nice, though. It was very comfortable.
Yeah, it was comfy. But it was genuinely an off-road transit van.
Right.
With raised suspension. And
Who was he?
Yeah, again, Ray was on.
Good morning, raised suspension.
And then a guy called Peter, who was driving us around. He was a really nice guy. And,
he was nice.
Loved what he did and was very knowledgeable.
Welcome to the tour. Going to be taking you all around the North Wales area today, and me and Greg are going to do you some commentary as we're driving.
He was unintentionally very funny, I thought.
But also sometimes intentionally funny.
No, I thought he was funny. I thought it was good. You know, he did hit one subject, which he did lose his audience for a while, but I was with him all the way.
Yeah, there was one moment, potentially. But beautiful scenery and stuff last...
Wasn't it? And the weather was great as well. Thank you for sorting that out, Greg.
It's a school trip, basically, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think a few people were misbehaving. I was trying to be the host at the front.
Who misbehaved?
Me and Neil were on the back of the bus like the cool kids. You know, when you're at school, you always go to the back seat.
See, that's it. I think Neil was a bit disrespectful at times. And did you enjoy it, Chris? I think I
really did. Yeah, I actually did. I really enjoyed the banter, and so much so because Peter and Greg were doing the banter together, and then when we stopped, Greg just gave up. I mean, he literally just gave up. I think he was tweeting at one point or checking emails on his phone. And I'm like, where's the banter, Greg? Giving it from the back of the bus.
Yeah.
And he pretty much goes, I can't be bothered. And I'm like, oh, this tour's gone really downhill. So luckily, Peter saved it for me in the end.
Yeah, he did.
I really did. I thought he was very funny.
Yeah.
Well, because the thing is, I didn't have very long to learn my lines for the thing. So
Do you remember any of your facts?
Well, a couple. There's 9 million sheep in Wales.
Wow.
3 million people.
Yep.
And the question was, how many more sheep are there than people?
And
it was three times. Almost exactly.
Yeah, it's almost exactly 3 times.
So
and then 1 in 8,000 sheep is black.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was a game. If you spotted a black sheep, you had to shout "black sheep," and then you win a token, so you can play a child's fruit machine game with Peter at the back of the van afterwards. I mean, I've got to be honest, that bit got a bit seedy for me, and I didn't win anything. And quite frankly, we moved on very quickly and said goodbye.
Go on, have another go.
I mean, at the time,
I'll give you another token.
Go on. Just press that button, have another go.
You know, at the time, it seemed really innocent, but thinking back now, perhaps it was slightly odd.
So we have a little bit of audio, which we recorded on the bus. We play this music, which is Indiana Jones. Now, as we're playing it, we're driving through this massive valley, amazingly beautifully picturesque. Where was it, Al? Can you remember?
Ogwen, was it Valley?
Ogwen Valley.
Yeah, Ogwen Valley. Absolutely breathtaking. Breathtaking because of the view, and breathtaking because of Peter's nutty driving. Where literally, I'm sitting looking out the window thinking, if he goes 3 millimetres to the left, we're ending up where them sheep are.
And the cyclist we passed was pleased also.
Well, the fellow looks like Swampy on a bike.
So Greg does this intro, and then we play the Indiana Jones music, and we're driving up through the valley. It's amazing. The big mountains either side of us. It's very picturesque. And I'm thinking, well, I'm intrigued to find out. Did they film some of Indiana Jones here in the valley? Is Harrison Ford Welsh? Are they filming a new film here? Is Greg going to be in it? Is Peter driving a bus? And then the music finished, and we got out and we took pictures. And I didn't know what was the relevance of Indiana Jones.
I really don't know. To this day,
I think it was just a nice bit of music.
I thought it was quite good in what was one of the finest examples of a glacial valley that you will see anywhere.
One of the finest.
I've taken a photo for you, Greg James. It's called Chris Moyles in Wales.
Nice.
And I think it demonstrates the enormity of the valley.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful photo.
Thanks.
Thank you. So, it wasn't... I think it was just a nice bit of music to play. And by the way, it's the BBC Orchestra here.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he just fed me some stories to tell, as if they were my own.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't... That isn't a story of mine.
Right.
But, I don't know, I think it worked.
All right. Well, I had a very nice time. Thank you very much. You know, and my enthusiasm may come across as sarcasm, but I want you to know, absolutely, from my heart, that I was really enjoying it.
It's cool to learn.
Is this the clip? All right, here we go.
Well, in Wales, there is around about 120 slate mines. See, churn out, or have churned out, or are due to churn out, can't remember, 160 million tonnes of slate. Wow. It used to be, Wales used to be the slate capital of the world. Wow. And then in the 1950s, machines came along and ruined it all. There is light at the end of the mine.
Peter loved that, by the way. Peter, he's going to have that. You watch.
In Bethesda, 75% of the male population still work in the mine.
We were on that bus for over an hour.
But it felt
On
like...
that bus for over an hour.
felt longer than that, didn't it?
For over an hour. We saw some absolutely amazing, beautiful sights in North Wales.
Yeah, we
very,
did.
very lovely.
Stunning, yeah.
And we had commentary from the driver, whose name was
Peter.
Yeah.
And Peter was very, very funny. A unique style of humour, I'll have to admit.
I think unintentionally funny.
Well, no, I think at times he was meaning to me, and other times he wasn't. And we played a little game. And we played a few games, actually. One of them was my favourite of the entire trip. He told a story about his first ever day on the job.
He did, yeah.
And he said, now, what do you reckon is the worst thing that can happen to a tour guide on his first day of the job? Now, to a normal person, you might come up with normal answers. But for me and my friends, this was a chance to come up with, you know, the ultimate answer.
Yeah.
After a few guesses, you suggested that maybe his worst nightmare was being attacked by wolves.
Well, he did say, now, what's the worst thing that can happen when you're doing a tour and it's your first day? Anybody? Well, what happened was, and I went, oh, hang on,
Yeah,
we're thinking.
We haven't started playing yet.
It's a bit like kind of saying, let's play a game of Guess Who, and yesterday I happened to see Bobby Devereaux. You've ruined it in one go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't, obviously, but I could have done.
Well, Chris,
Yes.
look what I have here.
Oh, is that DVD?
This is his CD that he used on the bus.
Oh, brilliant.
And got us all singing. So Greg will be on a bit later on, and we have clips of how yesterday went, and we have the music from the bus.
Now, the thing is, if
It's
you
lovely.
imagine, I mean, I don't know how many tour guides are listening, but anyway, guess what happened to me on my first... What do you think is the worst thing that could happen to a tour guide on his first day? I thought, did you get attacked by wolves? Was a good guess.
Yes, it was a good guess.
And then I ended up... He moved on after I said, did the ground open up and your van bus went through it, and as you hurtled towards the centre of the earth, towards hell, where you saw an array of famous bad people from over the years, then you got spat back out like the earth had a big burp, and then you landed back on the road and you were saved.
Yeah.
Apparently that wasn't it.
Yeah, he said no.
No.
And there was a few other suggestions as well, which you threw in, some of which are not appropriate for this time
No.
Most
of
of
life.
which are not really appropriate, you know. No, the answer was, of course, I got asked a question that I didn't know the answer to.
You know, much as we jest, it was. I found it a very enjoyable hour or so. that
I
we
did.
spent on the
I
bus.
really
I thought
did.
it was really good. I thought Peter was very funny, sometimes intentionally, sometimes not.
Did you find it slightly moving as well when the music was
Well,
playing?
they would tell a story, and then they would play you a song.
Yeah.
And they told us that apparently there's a very, very famous, I've got to be honest, I've never heard of it, story about a prince and his dog.
That's right, yeah.
No, really famous.
Now, is that a
No, it's
Welsh
not.
Welsh
in
tale?
only in Wales, though,
Yeah,
obviously.
but that's rubbish.
Yeah, he said it was world famous, but I know it as Welsh.
But it's not
famous.
world famous at all, because I'm from Leeds, which is only 2 hours away, and I've never heard of it. And basically, the story's rubbish anyway.
In the end, the guy marries the dog, doesn't
No,
he?
he doesn't marry the dog. No.
You fell asleep during
I
the
fell
story, Dave, I
asleep.
think. That was
So that all the Welsh people who are listening know, this is the Beirdd Gellet song.
Yeah, and I've got to
story.
understand. I didn't know the point of the story. Now, as far as stories go, some of them have like. There's a reason for the story.
Like a
or
message.
Yeah, there's a message,
Like a
like
moral.
Jerry Springer
Yeah.
at the end of a show. But this story seemingly seems to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alad.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's a rich prince, and he has a dog, and his dog is very loyal and
Gellet.
brilliant. and the prince loves his dog. Whatever. Anyway, they leave the baby behind one day while they go off with the dog. And then the dog goes missing, and then they find the dog back where the baby should be, but the baby's not in the pram, and the dog is covered in blood. So the prince kills the dog, and then just at the moment he kills the dog, he hears the baby crying, and it turns out that the baby's alive, and there's a wolf or something. I don't know, I was drifting off.
Yeah.
So the dog had protected the baby, and the prince, by mistake, had killed the dog, thinking it had killed the baby. The baby survived, the dog died, and apparently this is a well-known story in Wales. What the hell is going on?
Well, it's not a story, you see. It actually happened.
No, it didn't.
Well, this is the whole point. Bay
No,
of
it didn't.
Gellet, the area that we were in, it's called Gellet's...
Bear?
No, what's
Right.
Bay in
Dog?
English is where it got put to rest, you know, where...
Resting place.
Yeah, it's resting place. So the whole place
Grave?
is called Grave. That's the word.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
The
better.
whole thing is called Bay of Gellet, and that's where the name came from.
Imagine living in a place that's is named after a made-up story.
I don't think it is made up. That's real, isn't it?
But what's the point of the story?
That's the thing. If it was
Because
a story,
the prince is
there
an
would-
idiot.
But if it was a story, there would be a moral to it, and there isn't to this.
Yeah, but
Actually
the
happened.
moral is the prince was a moron and killed a dog. And by the way, there was no follow-up. I don't know whether there was any RSPCA
No,
action
no,
or
they
what.
didn't mention that.
Whether he
Warden.
was stripped of his princeness.
Yeah.
That's quite a sad story.
Well,
isn't it?
also,
Like if they turned and said the dog survived, you know what it was like listening to? The worst hour tune was Simon Bates ever. That's what it was like.
here's why I didn't fully understand. While we're on the bus, there was also a competition was put forward for everybody to play, and the idea was that it was the first person to see a black sheep, and he gave some statistics about how many black sheep there were in Wales or something.
Yes.
And
So
when
11.
when you saw one of these black sheep, you had to say black sheep port or black sheep starboard, depending upon whether it was on the left or the right of this minivan that we were in. And then you said you saw a black sheep, but it turned out to be a bin bag.
No, I did see a black sheep.
But then the thing was, though, that I never saw the sheep that you saw. Then you won a token which you could exchange for a prize at the
Yeah,
end.
that was
and then
odd.
he gets. This is weird, right? Then, so as we finished the tour, everyone knows that Chris has won a prize,
Me and
and so
Sarah.
had Sarah
Yeah.
from Greg Show won
Yeah,
a prize.
yeah.
So they had to cut. We can't tell you what it is. It's a secret. So when we finished the whole bus tour, we get out of the bus, and then this Peter brings out of the back of the bus like a small fruit machine.
Yeah.
Right?
Like a child's toy fruit machine.
At which point, Chris is playing, trying to get, what, 3 the same or something? I
3
presume?
sevens in a row, and I win a holiday.
Right.
You know, at this point, I'm thinking, it's time to go.
In effect, so he's doing this. It doesn't come up, as does Sarah. So effectively, they win chuff all, right? And so nothing. So the whole thing is pointless.
It was mental. He went, if you get 3 sevens, you get a holiday. You should have seen the look in his face when 2 sevens dropped straight away. Oh my God, he was panicking.
And what was the Indiana Jones theme tune about?
That made no sense.
No, I know.
See, that's the bit I
But it
found
was
moving.
fun.
Yeah,
It was fun.
It was
though.
yeah. I mean, it sounds like we're slagging it off. It wasn't.
No,
it was a
no,
very
it was
enjoyable,
brilliant.
hour and a half or
Yeah.
something. It was funny.
All right, here we go. I got told that story whilst on holiday in the Lake District, says Becky in Somerset. I'm from South Africa, and I know the story about the dog. The moral is to not jump to conclusions. Now, a few people have said that to me. Well, it's obvious, Chris, the moral is don't jump to conclusions. No. The moral is don't kill your dog. Surely that's the moral of the story.
That's a very literal moral.
Yeah.
There's a story about a prince. Just your typical run-of-the-mill prince with a castle and them big goblets that you drink wine out of and stuff. Anyway, this prince had a dog, and he was no ordinary dog. He was a little bit like the dog from Wallace and Gromit. You know, he could cook and clean and iron a shirt. In fact, once he fixed the distributor on a Ford Mondeo for the prince's mate. I don't know.
Did he?
Yeah. Anyway, the prince killed his dog, and that's the end of the story. You know?
Shemai.
I had a lovely day, though.
No, it was very nice, and Peter did a very good job with his little bus, and I liked him a lot. I thought he was funny.
He was thoroughly entertaining.
He's a lovely bloke, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I genuinely enjoyed it. I found the prize bit at the end a little bit creepy, but for the rest of it,
Have another go.
With a token
you
in the
haven't
slot.
won yet. Come on, let's play again.